Now that you got your aux mix set up, you can sweeten it a little bit by adding some effects. Now, routing effects to an aux isn't the same as routing effects to the main mix. To help explain this a little bit, we're going to take a look at the way you route effects to the mains. Each input channel has effect sends that can be controlled from the overview screen or the effects screen. As the name implies, an effect send sends channel signal to an effect. When a channel's effect send slider is moved, the amount of signal from the channel to the effect is adjusted. The effects processor takes the signal or signals from the channel sends and adds the reverb, delay, chorus, or pitch shift. Each effects processor has its own master fader that determines how much of the effect is heard from the main left-right mix. So that takes care of what the audience hears. But what if the performers want to hear themselves with effects applied as well? Just like I can mix any input channel to any aux, I can also mix any effect to any aux. Navigate to the aux mix you want to send effects to. Select the effects master's fader bank. Now, select the fader for the effect you want to hear in the aux and adjust the level. This can also be done directly from the effect itself. From the main effects screen, use the effects returns to monitors sliders to send the effect to the desired aux mix. This is the same thing as adjusting the effects fader within an aux mix. We're simply doing it from a different place. Just like in our main mix, the effects master fader is going to control how much of the effect is heard in the aux. Unlike in our main mix, however, we can't control how much of each instrument is being sent to the effect. The signal is simply sent from the effect engine to the aux output. Furthermore, if we bring up an effects master fader in an aux, any instruments that are being delivered to that effect are now going to be heard in that aux through the effect. This is important to note. Let's say you recall the vocal plate reverb on effects 1, and you're sending lead vocals to that. Makes sense. Let's say you're also sending the snare drum to that same reverb, because vocal plate on snare drum actually sounds really cool. Everything sounds awesome in the mains with just the right amount of wetness. Now, the singer wants to hear some reverb in their vocal monitor as well.
Hey, can I get a little reverb in my monitor?
And because you watched the first part of this video, you're able to quickly dial that up for him.
Here, how's that?
Check, check. Yeah, that's good.
But now, the singer is complaining, because singers, right? Well, what's happening is, they're getting a really wet snare drum out of their own vocal monitor.
Hey, there's a lot of like snare echo in my monitor. Can I just get like all of that out?
This is because the lead vocals and snare drum are being processed by the same effects engine. To get around this, we're going to use separate effects processors for the vocals and the snare drum. Start by going to Effects 1 and calling up a reverb preset for drums. You could even name it to keep track of what's going on. Go to the Setup tab and press the Name field. I'll name mine Drum Rev. Now go to Effects 2 and load the reverb you want for your demanding vocalist. I'll name this one Vocal Rev. Now, make sure that the selected channels are being sent to the correct effect. The quickest way to do this is by using the Effects Wizard. Push Wizard, Effects Wizard, and select the Effects 1 Drum Rev tab. Go to the buttons in the Select Inputs to Feed section and deselect everything except the snare drum. Now do the same thing for the Vocal Rev effect. You've just sent signal from the channels to your effects. Use the Effects 1 and Effects 2 faders to set how much reverb is heard in the mains. Now, when the vocal reverb is brought up, the snare is not brought with it because we've sent the snare drum to a separate reverb.
Hey, how's that?
Check, check. 1, 2. Oh, that's so much better. Thank you.
The more instruments you have, the more effects you'll want to use, and the more complicated it can get. As a practical matter, it's probably best to keep the effects in your monitors to a minimum. And that's all we got for this video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.